The blue light filled the entire room as the hologram appeared. Hyun-Woo Kim stood at the center of Earth's main council chamber, watching as the alien form took shape before him. The being looked like living crystal, tall and sharp, with light moving through its body like water. This was Vexathara, speaking for the Galactic Council. Around Hyun-Woo stood the leaders of Earth. So-Young Park, the scientist who had studied aliens for 10 years, held her breath. Admiral Dae-Ho Lee crossed his arms, his military uniform pressed and clean. Ji-Min Choi, head of Earth's spy network, watched from the shadows near the wall. They all knew this day would change everything. Humans of Earth, Vexathara spoke, its voice like broken glass. The Galactic Council has made its decision about your species. Hyun-Woo stepped forward. He had been Earth's top diplomat for 20 years. He had talked to angry world leaders and stopped wars with words. But this felt different. This alien looked at him like he was an insect. "We are ready to hear your decision," Hyun-Woo said, keeping his voice steady. The crystal being grew brighter. "Your species is not fit for galactic society. You are too violent, too dangerous, too primitive. The Council has watched you for 200 years since you left your home world. What we have seen troubles us." So-Young felt her heart sink. She had worked so hard to prepare for this moment. She had learned 12 alien languages. She had studied their cultures and their ways. She thought humans could prove they belonged among the stars. "In what way have we failed?" Hyun-Woo asked. Vexathara waved one crystal hand. Images appeared in the air around them. Humans fighting in wars, ships with weapons flying through space, colonies growing fast on new worlds. "Look at your history," the alien said. "War after war after war. You have only been in space for 2 centuries. Yet you already build weapons that could destroy planets. You expand like a virus, taking world after world. You cannot be trusted with the freedom of space." Admiral Dae-Ho's jaw tightened. His ships protected human colonies from pirates and hostile aliens. His weapons had saved thousands of lives, but he said nothing. This was Hyun-Woo's meeting. "Other young species learn their place," Vexathara continued. "They accept guidance from their betters. They follow the rules. They grow slowly and carefully. But humans? You ignore our warnings. You build what you want. You go where you please. This cannot continue." The hologram changed, showing a map of the galaxy. Earth and its colonies appeared as red dots in one corner. A bright line drew itself around them, cutting them off from the rest of space. "The Council offers you a choice," Vexathara said. "Accept permanent quarantine in your solar system. Stay in your corner of space. Never expand beyond what you have now. Do this, and you will be left in peace." "And if we refuse?" Hyun-Woo asked, though he already knew the answer. The crystal being's light turned cold and harsh. "Then the Council will take corrective measures. 12 species stand with us. 12 species that have ruled space for thousands of years. We have weapons that could turn your sun into ice. We have ships that could crack your planets like eggs. Do not test us, little humans." So-Young looked around the room. She saw anger on every face. These aliens thought humans were nothing. They thought Earth was weak. They had not even tried to understand what humans could do when pushed too far. "We need time to consider your offer," Hyun-Woo said carefully. Vexathara seemed surprised. "Time? What is there to consider? You have no choice. Accept the quarantine or face destruction." "Even so," Hyun-Woo replied, "this decision affects all of humanity. We cannot make it lightly. Surely the wise council understands this." The alien was quiet for a long moment. Then it nodded. "Very well. You have 30 of your Earth days. After that, we will have your answer. Choose wisely, humans. The Council's patience has limits." The hologram disappeared, leaving the room in normal light. For several seconds, nobody spoke. Then Jimin stepped out of the shadows. 30 days, she said quietly. They think we need 30 days to surrender. Admiral Daeho turned to Han-woo. Sir, with respect, we cannot accept this. Humanity did not come this far to hide in one solar system forever. So, Young nodded. The Admiral is right. These aliens do not understand us at all. They think we are just another species they can bully into submission. Hyun-woo walked to the window that looked out over the city. Millions of people lived here. Billions more lived across Earth and its colonies, all of them free, all of them building new lives among the stars. He would not let some ancient aliens take that away. They called us violent, he said slowly. They called us primitive. They think we are insects they can step on. He turned back to the others. They are about to learn they made a mistake. Jimin smiled, but it was not a happy smile. What are your orders, sir? Send messages to every human world, every colony, every ship. Tell them what happened here today. Tell them what the Council thinks of humanity. Admiral Daeho straightened. And then? Then we show them what humans do when someone threatens our freedom, Hyun-woo said. We have 30 days. Let's use them well. So Young was already thinking about the data they had on Council species. 12 different aliens, each thinking they were superior to humans. Each believing their technology and age made them unbeatable. They had no idea what was coming. As the leaders left the chamber, word was already spreading across Earth and beyond. The Galactic Council had insulted humanity. They had threatened human freedom. They had made the greatest mistake in their long history. They had given humans 30 days to prepare for war. In the days that followed, something amazing happened. Every human disagreement stopped. Every old argument was forgotten. Rich and poor, east and west, every human colony and ship, all united with one single purpose. The aliens thought humans were too violent, too primitive, too dangerous. They were about to find out they were right. The message reached every human settlement within hours. From the ice mines of Europa to the farming domes of Kepler 442b, the same words spread like wildfire. The Council thinks we are not good enough. They want to cage us like animals. We have 30 days. So-Young Park stood in her laboratory, surrounded by screens showing data about the 12 Council species. Her team had worked for 3 days without sleep, gathering every piece of information they could find. What they discovered made her angry and hopeful at the same time. Look at this, she said to her assistant, Taijun Han. The Zalari have ruled space for 6,000 years. They have never fought a real war. Their ships are beautiful, but they are built for ceremony, not battle. Taejun nodded, studying the holographic display. He was the best engineer on Earth, the man who had designed humanity's faster-than-light engines. And the Technari? Their weapons are powerful, but they take hours to charge. They expect enemies to line up and wait to be shot. So-Young moved to another screen. Every single Council species is the same. They have been in charge so long, they forgot how to fight. They maintain order through fear and tradition, not strength. Meanwhile, across the city, Admiral Daeho Lee was meeting with his commanders. The room buzzed with energy as plans took shape on the main display. They think we are violent, Admiral Daeho said. Good. Let them keep thinking that while we show them what human strategy really looks like. Captain Mirai Song pointed to the star map. Sir, they expect us to defend Earth. But what if we do not play their game? What if we attack first? The Admiral smiled. Mirai was young but brilliant. She had graduated top of her class at the war, college, and had never lost a simulation. Tell me your thoughts, Captain. The Council species are spread across the galaxy, Mirai explained. They are used to fighting one enemy at a time in their own space, by their own rules. They have never faced an enemy that can be everywhere at once. Admiral Deho studied the map. Human colonies were scattered far and wide, much farther than the Council knew. You are suggesting we use our expansion against them? Exactly, sir. They see our rapid growth as a weakness. They think we spread too thin, too fast. They do not realize it makes us impossible to contain. In another part of the building, Jimin Choi was coordinating the largest intelligence operation in human history. Her screens showed the faces of agents across the galaxy, many of them posing as simple traders or tourists in Council space. Report from Agent Junho Yoon in the Altair system, one of her operators said. The local aliens are not happy with Council rule. High taxes, strict laws, no voice in government. They might help us if we offer them something better. Ji-min nodded. This was what she had hoped to find. And Agent Sang-ho Park in the Vega colonies? Same story, ma'am. The younger species hate the Council. They just never had anyone strong enough to stand up to them before. Jimin leaned back in her chair. The Council had ruled through intimidation for so long, they had forgotten that fear. Could turn to rage. And rage could be very useful. Back in the engineering labs, Taijun Han was working on something that would change everything. His new quantum tunnel drives could move ships through space in ways that broke every rule the Council knew. Traditional faster-than-light travel follows predictable paths, he explained to his team. The Council can track it, predict it, stop it. But quantum tunneling? It is like stepping through a door that appears and disappears in an instant. His chief assistant, Yoon Seo Kim, looked worried. The power requirements are enormous, and the risk is worth it, Taijun said firmly. One ship with this drive can appear anywhere in the galaxy without warning. Imagine what a whole fleet could do. Across the planet, factories that had been making peaceful goods switched to war production. But this was not the simple weapon-making the Council expected. Humans were building something entirely different. Dr. Eugene Lee, head of Earth's diplomatic corps, was creating a new kind of weapon. Words. She worked with So Young's data to craft messages that would spread across the galaxy, reaching every oppressed species in Council space. We are not asking them to fight, she explained to her team. We are asking them to hope. Hope that someone finally stands up to the bullies. Hope that things can change. The messages were simple but powerful. They told the truth about Council rule. They showed how the 12 species had stayed in power not through wisdom or strength, but through fear. They promised that humanity would fight for everyone's freedom, not just their own. As the days passed, something incredible happened across human space. Every colony, every settlement, every ship became part of the preparation. Farmers donated food, miners provided metals, children drew pictures of Earth to remind soldiers what they were fighting for. The Council watched from their distant worlds, confident that humans were building desperate defenses around Earth. Their spies reported the usual things: ships gathering, weapons being manufactured, defensive positions being prepared. They did not see the real preparations. They did not notice the small ships leaving Earth in all directions, carrying supplies to hidden bases throughout the galaxy. They did not realize that human traders were actually soldiers, setting up secret supply lines and safe houses. The Council species had ruled space for thousands of years. They were old, wise, and powerful. But they had one great weakness. They could not imagine that anyone would dare to fight them seriously. Admiral Dae-ho met with his top commanders on day 20. The plans were ready. The ships were prepared. The weapons were loaded. But most importantly, the human spirit was on fire. They think 30 days is enough time for us to accept defeat, he said. They are right about one thing. 30 days is enough time to prepare the greatest surprise in galactic history. Captain Mirai smiled. Sir, the Council is about to learn why humans explore the galaxy so fast. When we decide to go somewhere, nothing stops us. And when we decide to fight, Admiral Dae-ho replied, we do not just fight to win. We fight to make sure the enemy never threatens anyone again. The 30 days were almost over. Across the galaxy, humans prepared for war. But it would not be the war the Council expected. It would be bigger, faster, and more complete than anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Council had insulted humanity's honor. They had threatened humanity's freedom. They had made the mistake of giving humans time to prepare. Soon, they would learn what that mistake would cost them. Day 30 arrived like thunder across the galaxy. In the council chamber, representatives of 12 ancient species gathered to hear humanity's answer. Vexthara stood at the center, its crystal body gleaming with confidence. The other council members took their places, the floating gas clouds of the Nethrix, the metal-bodied Corvani, the plant-like Verdani, and 9 others who had ruled space since before humans discovered fire. On Earth, Hyun-Woo Kim stood once again in the council chamber. But this time he was not alone. The room was filled with representatives from every human world. Admiral Daeho Lee wore his best uniform, medals gleaming on his chest. So-Young Park held a datapad containing everything they had learned about the council. Ji-Min Choi watched, from her usual place in the shadows, but today her eyes were bright with anticipation. The hologram activated, and Vexthara appeared before them, larger and more intimidating than before. The other council members materialized around it, forming a circle of ancient power and authority. Humans of Earth, Vexthara spoke, its voice carrying the weight of millennia. Your time is finished. The council awaits your decision. Will you accept quarantine? Or must we use force? Hyun-Woo stepped forward. He had practiced this moment in his mind 1,000 times. His words would either save humanity or start the greatest war in galactic history. But as he looked at the alien beings surrounding him, he felt no fear. He felt only the anger that had been building for 30 days. Honored Council, he began, his voice steady and clear. We have considered your offer carefully. We have discussed it with every human settlement, every colony, every ship in space. Our answer is unanimous. He paused, letting the weight of the moment settle. Around the galaxy, millions of humans watched on screens, holding their breath. We reject your quarantine, Hyun-Woo said firmly. We reject your authority over human space, and we reject your assumption that age and technology give you the right to control the lives of others. The council chamber erupted in angry sounds. The Corvani clanged their metal limbs together. The Verdani rustled their leaves in fury. The Nethrix swirled like angry storms. Vexthara's light turned cold and harsh. You dare refuse the council? You insignificant mammals think you can stand against species that ruled before your son was born? We do not think it, Hyun-Woo replied calmly. We know it. Admiral Daeho stepped up beside him. You called us violent. You called us primitive. You were right about one thing. We are different from the species you have bullied before. We do not accept defeat just because someone tells us we should. So-Young moved forward with her datapad. We have studied your species for 30 days, all 12 of you. Do you want to know what we learned? Before any council member could respond, she activated her pad. Images filled the air around them, not human images this time, but pictures of the council species' own worlds. The Zalari, So-Young said, pointing to beautiful crystal cities. 6,000 years of peace. No wars, no conflicts, no real challenges. Your military exists for parades, not battles. Your weapons are works of art, not tools of war. She changed the image. The Tecnari, masters of energy weapons that take 4 hours to charge and can only fire in straight lines. Perfect for executing helpless prisoners. Useless against a moving target. Image after image appeared, showing the weaknesses of each council species. The room grew quiet as So-Young continued her presentation. You have all forgotten how to fight, she concluded. You maintain power through fear and tradition, not strength. You are like old lions whose roar is mighty, but whose teeth have fallen out. The Corvani representative, a massive being of living metal, spoke in a voice like grinding gears. Foolish. Humans. We have weapons that can destroy stars. We have ships the size of your cities. Your primitive technology cannot match our power. Ji-Min Choi stepped out of the shadows. Your ships are indeed large. Your weapons are indeed powerful. But they are also slow, predictable, and designed to fight the kind of war that has not been fought for 1,000 years. She smiled, and it was not a pleasant smile. You want to know what we learned in our 30 days? We learned that you are not the mighty rulers you pretend to be. You are elderly bullies who have forgotten that someone might actually fight back. Vexathara's light flared with rage. Enough! You have chosen destruction. So be it. The Council fleet moves to your system even now. 12 dreadnoughts, each one capable of cracking planets. You will surrender or you will die. Your ships left your homeworlds 3 days ago. Admiral Daeho said calmly. We have been tracking them since they entered our sensor range. 12 ships moving in a straight line formation, broadcasting their positions for all to see. Very impressive. Very traditional. Very predictable. He turned to Hyun-woo. Sir, shall we show them what humans do when someone threatens our freedom? Hyun-woo nodded. Do it. Admiral Daeho activated his communication device. All units, this is Admiral Lee. Execute Operation Wildfire. Across the galaxy, 1,000 human ships received the signal at the same moment. But these were not the ships the Council had been watching near Earth. These were the ships that had been moving through space using Tae Jun-han's quantum tunnel drives, ships that could appear anywhere without warning. The first target was the Zelari homeworld. Captain Yoon Seo Kim's stealth cruiser materialized in orbit above the Crystal Cities. The beautiful defensive platforms, designed for ceremony rather than warfare, were destroyed before they could even charge their weapons, at eye. The same moment, Captain Junho Yoon led a strike force against the Theknari energy research stations. The aliens' mighty weapons were still powering up when human ships completed their mission and vanished back into quantum space. All across Council territory, the attacks were swift, precise, and completely unexpected. Humans did not try to conquer worlds or kill civilians. They targeted military installations, communication networks, and government buildings. They wanted to send a message, not commit genocide. But the real surprise was yet to come. As the Council members watched in horror as reports poured in from their homeworlds, So-Young activated another program on her datapad. Suddenly, broadcasts began transmitting across the galaxy, not to Council species, but to the hundreds of younger races under Council rule. The messages were simple and clear. The Council is not invincible. The time has come to stand up for yourselves. Humanity will help you claim your freedom. On world after world, species that had been oppressed for centuries heard the words and felt something they had not felt in generations. Hope, Dr. Eugene. Lee's carefully crafted messages spread like wildfire through alien communication networks. They told the truth about Council rule. They showed how the 12 species had stayed in power through fear rather than wisdom. They promised that things could change, and across the galaxy, oppressed species began to act. Not all of them, not even most of them, but enough. Enough to show the Council that their empire was built on foundations much weaker than they had believed. Vexathara's hologram flickered as communication networks throughout Council space began failing. What have you done? It demanded. We have done what humans do best, Hyun-woo replied. We have adapted. We have improvised. And we have turned your greatest strength into your greatest weakness. Your age and experience made you confident, Admiral Daeho added. Your confidence made you careless. Your carelessness gave us the opportunity we needed. The holographic connection was failing as chaos spread through Council space. Vexathera's image began to break apart. "This is not over," the crystal being said, its voice distorting. "The council will not fall to primitive mammals. We will rebuild. We will return. We will destroy you all." "No," Hyunwoo said quietly as the hologram disappeared. "You will not." The chamber fell silent. Around the galaxy, the greatest empire in known history was beginning to crumble. Not because humans were stronger or smarter or better than the council species, but because humans were something the council had never learned to fight free. The galaxy burned with revolution, not the destructive fire of conquest, but the bright flame of freedom spreading from world to world. Captain Sang-ho Park watched from the bridge of his liberation ship as another council garrison surrendered, without a fight. The aliens had ruled through fear for so long, they had forgotten how to inspire loyalty. "Sir, we are receiving surrender requests from 6 more systems," his communications officer reported. "The local species want to join the Human Alliance." Sang-ho nodded, but his expression remained serious. The easy victories were almost over. Soon, they would face the Council's real military forces, and those would not give up so easily. Admiral Dae-ho Lee stood in the command center on Earth, watching reports flow in from across the galaxy. His strategy was working perfectly. Human forces had struck at 12 different systems simultaneously, but they had not tried to hold territory. Instead, they moved constantly, hitting targets and disappearing before the Council could respond. The Zalari have pulled their fleet back to defend their homeworld, Captain Mi-Ray Song reported. The Tecnari are doing the same. Every council species is abandoning their forward positions to protect their own territory. "Excellent," Admiral Dae-ho replied. "Divide and conquer. Make them think like individual species instead of a unified council." But Mi-Ray looked worried. "Sir, we are receiving reports that the council is preparing something new. Our agents say they are building some kind of superweapon." Admiral Dae-ho frowned. This was what he had been afraid of. Desperate enemies did desperate things. "Send word to all units. Continue the mission, but be ready for anything." Meanwhile, So-Young Park was working with teams of scientists from dozens of species. Her laboratory had become a meeting place for the galaxy's brightest minds, all working together to solve the technical challenges of revolution. "The Altarian engineers have cracked the Council's communication codes," she told her assistant Tae-Jun Han. "And the Vegan mathematicians have found weaknesses in their shield technology." Tae-Jun smiled. "Working together, we are 10 times stronger than working alone. The Council never understood this. Because they never worked together," So-Young replied. "They ruled together, but they never truly cooperated. Each species always put their own interests first." Across the galaxy, the revolution was spreading faster than anyone had expected. But it was not just humans fighting Council forces. Entire species were rising up against their oppressors, and they were learning from human tactics. On the mining world of Kepler 438b, the native rocklings had spent 3 centuries digging precious metals for the Council. Now they turned their mining tools into weapons and their knowledge of tunnels into military advantage. Council soldiers found themselves fighting an enemy that could appear from underground without warning. In the Centauri system, the peaceful gardener species had provided food for Council worlds for 2,000 years. But peaceful did not mean helpless. They knew exactly which crops were needed to keep Council citizens fed, and they knew how to make sure those crops failed at exactly the right time. The bird-like Skyborn had served as messengers and scouts for the Council fleets. Now they used their speed and knowledge of space routes to carry human communications to rebel groups across the galaxy. Council commanders found their own former servants working against them, but the Council was not finished. Vexathara stood in the emergency command center on the Zalari homeworld, its crystal body crackling with energy. Around it, the other council members appeared as holograms, their expressions ranging from anger to fear. "The humans must be stopped," the Corvani representative said, its metal voice harsh with fury. "They have turned half the galaxy against us in mere weeks." "More than half," the Nethrix delegate admitted, its gas cloud form swirling with agitation. 17 species have declared independence. 23 more are in open rebellion. Our empire is collapsing. Vexathera raised one crystal hand for silence. "Then we will use the final protocol." The chamber fell quiet. The final protocol was the Council's last resort, a weapon so terrible they had never used it in 6,000 years of rule. It was designed to destroy entire star systems, leaving nothing behind but cosmic dust. "That will kill billions," the Verdani representative whispered, its leaves rustling with horror. "Many of them our own people." "Better our people die as part of the Council than live as slaves to humans," Vexathara replied coldly. "Activate the final protocol. Target the Sol system. If we cannot rule the galaxy, then we will ensure the humans cannot either." But unknown to the Council, their communications were being monitored. Jimin Choi sat in her intelligence center on Earth, watching the conversation through a tap her agents had placed on the Council network months ago. "Alert Admiral Lee immediately," she told her staff, "and get me a direct line to every human ship in the galaxy. We need to move fast." Admiral Dae-ho received the warning just as his forces were preparing for their next wave of attacks. The final protocol weapon was hidden in a fortress station at the edge of Council space, protected by the most powerful shields and weapons in the galaxy. "How long do we have?" he asked Jimin. 6 hours to activate, 12 hours to target Earth and fire," she replied. "But, sir, our ships cannot get through those defenses. The fortress is protected by weapons that could destroy our entire fleet. Admiral A. Dae-ho was quiet for a moment, thinking. Then he smiled. "They are protected against our fleet, yes, but not against our allies." He opened a communication channel to every rebel species in the galaxy. "This is Admiral Lee of the Human Forces. The Council is preparing to use a weapon that will destroy entire star systems. We need your help to stop them." The response was immediate and overwhelming. The Rocklings offered to tunnel through the asteroid field surrounding the fortress. The Skyborn volunteered to guide ships through the dangerous approach routes. The Gardeners promised to provide life support for the longest space voyage any of them had ever attempted. But it was the Altarians who provided the key. "We know the fortress," their leader said. "We built parts of it. We know its weaknesses." Captain Yunseo Kim found herself leading the most diverse fleet in galactic history. Human ships flew alongside Altarian cruisers, Rockling mining vessels, and Skyborn scouts. They moved through space using every trick they had learned, every advantage they could find. The fortress was massive, a metal moon bristling with weapons. Its shields could stop any normal attack. Its weapons could destroy fleets. But it had been designed to fight the kind of war the Council understood. Massive ships attacking from predictable directions. The mixed fleet approached from 12 different angles, using asteroid fields and cosmic dust clouds for cover. The Rocklings had attached explosive charges to asteroids and sent them tumbling toward the fortress. The Skyborn flew impossibly fast attack runs that confused the targeting computers. The Altarians used their knowledge of the fortress design to hit weak points that the defenders did not even know existed, and at the center of it all, Captain Yunseo's stealth ship appeared inside the fortress shields, delivering a strike team directly to the weapons control center. The battle was fierce but brief. The fortress's defenders were brave and skilled, but they were fighting an enemy unlike anything they had ever faced. When the final protocol weapon exploded, taking half the fortress with it, the Council's last hope died with it. Across the galaxy, the news spread faster than light. The Council's ultimate weapon was gone. Their fleets were scattered. Their empire was in ruins. And still the revolution continued to grow. But the humans were not finished. Admiral Day-Ho had one more surprise for the Council species. As their remaining ships fled toward their homeworlds, they found human vessels waiting for them, not attacking, but broadcasting. "People of the Council worlds," the message said, "your leaders told you that humans were your enemies. They told you we wanted to conquer you. They lied. We do not want your worlds or your wealth. We want something much simpler. Freedom for everyone in the galaxy." The message continued, broadcast in every council language. "Your leaders have ruled through fear for thousands of years. They have told you that only they could keep order in the galaxy. But look around you. Without their rule, the galaxy has not fallen into chaos. It has become more peaceful, more prosperous, more free than ever before. On council worlds, ordinary citizens heard the human words and began to ask questions their governments could not answer. Why had they never been allowed to speak with other species directly? Why did their leaders live in luxury while common people struggled? Why had they been taught to fear species that only wanted to be friends? The revolution was no longer about humans fighting the council. It had become something bigger and more powerful. The galaxy choosing freedom over fear, cooperation over domination, hope over despair. The council's empire was falling apart, but something better was being built in its place. And humanity was, at the center of it all, not as conquerors, but as the spark that had lit a fire of freedom across the stars. The great council chamber on Zalari Prime stood empty for the first time in 6,000 years. Vexathara looked around at the crystal walls that had witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations, the making and breaking of laws that governed a galaxy. Now they reflected only the light of a dying empire. One by one, the council species had withdrawn to their homeworlds. The Corvani had sealed their borders and refused all communication. The Nethrix had scattered to the outer reaches of space. The Verdani had surrendered their weapons and begged for mercy. Each species faced the same choice: adapt to a new galaxy or fade into history. But Vexathara was not finished. The crystal being stood alone in the chamber, sending out a final message to the galaxy. "This is not over," it broadcast. "The council brought order to chaos, civilization to barbarism. Without us, the galaxy will fall into darkness. The humans will learn that ruling is harder than rebelling." The message reached Earth, where Hyun-Woo Kim sat in a very different kind of meeting. Around him were not just human leaders, but representatives from dozens of species. The Altarians sat next to former council slaves. The Rocklings shared plans with the Skyborn. The room buzzed with conversation in 100 languages, but somehow everyone understood each other. "The Zalari are requesting to join the new Galactic Assembly," reported Bo-Young-Na, Earth's new ambassador to alien species. "They want to send representatives to discuss terms." Hyun-Woo nodded. "What about their war crimes, the species they oppressed for centuries?" "They are willing to make reparations," Bo-Young replied. "Full compensation for damages, plus assistance in rebuilding destroyed worlds. They seem genuine in wanting to change." Admiral Woo-Jin Park, who had taken over fleet operations from Admiral Day-Ho, looked skeptical. "And if they are lying? If this is just a trick to regain power?" So Young Park, now head of the new Scientific Cooperation Council, smiled. "Then they will discover that the galaxy has changed. The other species will not let them return to their old ways. The Altarians alone could stop them if they tried." It was true. The revolution had not just removed the council from power. It had created something entirely new, a galaxy where species work together as equals instead of rulers and subjects. The old hierarchy was gone forever. Across the galaxy, the changes were remarkable. On worlds that had been strip-mined for centuries, new forests were growing with the help of Verdani plant shapers and human terraforming technology. In space, mixed crews of different species explored unknown regions together, sharing discoveries instead of hoarding them. The Skyborn had established a new communication network that allowed any species to talk directly to any other, without censorship or control. The Rocklings shared their mining techniques with human engineers, creating new ways to harvest resources without destroying planets. The gardeners worked with alien biologists to develop crops that could feed any species. But the most important change was in how different species saw each other. For the first time in galactic history, they were meeting as friends instead of conquerors and conquered. Captain Sang-Ho Park stood on the bridge of his ship, watching as the new Galactic Assembly building took shape in orbit around a neutral star. The structure was beautiful, designed by architects from 20 different species. It looked nothing like the old council chamber with its symbols of power and authority. Instead, it was open and welcoming, with meeting spaces for groups of any size and translation systems that worked with any language. "Sir, we are receiving a delegation request from the Technari," his communications officer reported. "They want to discuss joining the assembly." Sang-Ho was surprised. The Technari had been among the most stubborn of the council species, refusing all contact since their defeat. What changed their minds? Their energy technology, sir. They realized that working with other species, they could develop power sources beyond anything they had imagined. Isolation is not serving them well. It was happening across the galaxy. One by one, the former council species were discovering that cooperation was more rewarding than domination. Some came willingly, eager to be part of the new galactic community. Others came reluctantly, forced by economic necessity or internal pressure from their own people. But they came. The process was not always smooth. There were conflicts and misunderstandings. Some species had grudges that lasted centuries. Some had cultural differences that seemed impossible to bridge. But Dr. Su-Min Lee, the chief architect of the new galactic charter, had anticipated these problems. "The charter is not perfect," she explained to a mixed group of diplomats. "It cannot solve every problem or prevent every conflict. But it does. Something the old council system never did. It treats every species as equal partners in their own destiny." The charter was simple in its principles but powerful in its effects. Every species had the right to govern itself. Every species had the right to seek help from others. Every species had the responsibility to help others when possible. No species could claim authority over another. No species could be denied a voice in decisions that affected them. Most importantly, the charter established the principle that had driven the human revolution. Freedom was not something that could be granted or taken away by others. It was a natural right of all thinking beings. Hyun-Woo Kim stood before the first session of the new Galactic Assembly, looking out at representatives from over 200 species. Some were former council members seeking redemption. Some were newly contacted civilizations just discovering they were not alone in the universe. Some were ancient species that had hidden from council oppression for millennia. "We gather today not as rulers and subjects," he said, "but as equals in the great adventure of exploring the galaxy together. The old council promised order through control. We offer something better: progress through cooperation." The response was overwhelming. Species after species stood to pledge their support for the new system. They spoke of their hopes for the future, their plans for exploration and discovery, their dreams of peace and prosperity for all. But the most moving moment came when Vexathara itself appeared in the chamber. The crystal being looked smaller somehow, its light dimmer than before. It had traveled from the ruins of the old council to make a final statement. "I opposed humanity because I believed the galaxy needed strong leadership," Vexathara said. "I believed that order required control, that peace required dominance. I was wrong." The chamber was completely silent as the ancient being continued. "The humans showed us that strength comes from unity, not authority. That order comes from justice, not fear. That peace comes from respect, not submission." Vexathara's light grew brighter as it spoke. "I ask not for forgiveness, but for the chance to help build the galaxy that should have existed all along. the galaxy my people prevented with our arrogance and pride. The vote to accept the Zalari into the assembly was unanimous. Later, as the session ended and representatives began to mingle, Hyunwoo found himself standing with So Young, Admiral Woo Jin, and Jimin Choi, watching the incredible sight of hundreds of species talking and laughing together. "Do you think it will last?" Admiral Woo Jin asked. "This peace? This cooperation?" So Young smiled. "Nothing lasts forever. There will be new challenges, new conflicts, new problems we cannot imagine. But we have given the galaxy something it never had before: hope. And we have proven something important," Jimin added. "That bullies only have power as long as people are afraid to stand up to them. Once someone shows it can be done, others find the courage to follow." Hyunwoo nodded, watching as a group of young beings from different species worked together on a holographic project. They were designing a new type of starship that would be crewed by multiple species, each contributing their unique abilities to exploration and discovery. "The council was right about one thing," he said. "Humans are dangerous. We are dangerous to tyrants and bullies, and anyone who thinks they have the right to control others. We are dangerous because we believe in freedom, and freedom is contagious." Across the galaxy, that freedom continued to spread. New species made, contact with the assembly every day. Old enemies became allies. Ancient mysteries were solved through cooperation. The galaxy that had been ruled by fear for thousands of years was learning to live with hope. The council had insulted humanity, calling them too violent, too primitive, too dangerous for civilized space. They had been right about the dangerous part. Humanity had proved to be the most dangerous thing the galaxy had ever seen. Dangerous to oppression, dangerous to injustice, dangerous to the idea that might makes right. And in proving that, they had set the galaxy ablaze with something far more powerful than any weapon: the fire of freedom that burns in the heart of every thinking being, waiting only for someone brave enough to light the match. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly what humanity had intended.